And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to all alumni and associates of the University of Johannesburg to this In Conversation series with alumni, where we're talking about youth at the heart at UJ at 20. This is obviously in celebration of the 20 years of UJ, and I hope you guys will get a great information from tonight from our illustrious panel. And I hope that as all UJ and alumni, you are all thinking about what we're going to have as topics and yeah, keep you guys focused for us tonight. My name is Victor Kangala and I'm integrated communications from the alumni office. And I hope you guys stay engaged and enjoy everything from our alumni on the panel this evening. But for now, for the opening and welcome, I'd like to hand over to our senior manager in the alumni office, Ms. Paladi Mahongwa.
Thank you, Victor. Good evening, dear alumni and associates. Welcome to this special virtual gathering hosted by the University of Johannesburg's Alumni Office. We are here to honor the youth of this country at the heart of UJ at 20. And tonight we celebrate 2 decades of excellence, growth, and transformation. As we reflect on our shared history, we proudly spotlight the innovation, leadership, and resilience of our youth. Your continued support and engagement are invaluable as we shape the future together. Let us be inspired by the voices leading change and reaffirming our commitment to empowering the next generation. Thank you for joining us in honoring UJ's incredible 20-year journey. Enjoy this evening, and I hope you will learn a lot from our panelists. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Ms. Paladi, for that warm opening and welcome for us this evening. And as we all know, this evening is focused at youth and the youth at the heart of UJ, seeing as ours UJ's 20th birthday. And we thought we might as well bring you something a little bit more special, something a little bit more entertaining. So this conversation will have one of some of our illustrious alumni here at the university that we have produced. And it's a couple of alumni that we kind of mixed and matched. We thought we'll have a couple of alumni from different avenues of society, their own industry that they impact. And we thought that with the youth at heart, we definitely need to look at different industries. I mean, youth are not just focused on one thing. The youth are our future. And as we look at future building here in South Africa, we definitely need to think about different aspects and avenues of industry. Well, with no further ado, just to introduce our 4 panelists, I'd like to introduce first Mr. Hilton Chinyama. He's a senior financial strategist at Standard Bank and former SRC deputy president here at the University of Johannesburg. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I'd also like to introduce Ms. Ronald Uester. She's a chartered accountant, a John Maxwell Leadership Certified Trainer, internationally accredited holistic wellness expert. Welcome, ma'am. I hope you're going to enjoy this evening.
Thank you.
And okay, we have an advocate with us this evening. That is Advocate Eric Cotter. He is a member of the Oxford Chambers and is specializing in criminal and labor law. So for all you bad boys out there listening, this gentleman is safe for you. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Mr. Solomon Makama, an avid entrepreneur, a dedicated tutor, and a director at Jolepili Academy. So, panelists, welcome to this evening's conversation. I'd like to first, of course, talk about our first theme of this evening. Another theme of this evening is definitely talking about youth and youth innovation in action. Something about talking about bold actions that started here at UJ. As you all know, the University of Johannesburg it's a university that fosters growth, it fosters innovation, it fosters the imagination, as we like to call it, the imagination of things. That's one of our biggest tagline. And as we know, we're talking about projects, businesses, initiatives you started here as students or maybe as young alumni, something to inspire our current students that we have coming up in the ranks. I mean, as a 20-year-old institution, but I mean, if we're going to include our older institutions that merged to become University of Johannesburg, those alumni are also part of those that we are talking about. Those alumni who also brought those bold ideas into industry and helped us to get the jobs that we want, or helped us empowered and to get the innovation we need. If we even think about it, one of the biggest offices that the University of Johannesburg has implemented here is a technology and transfer office. This office, of course, helps position and assist the UJ student or alumni to protect their own innovative ideas where warranted and to help them seek and get into market. Obviously, with any kind of innovation, you're trying to get your own business running, get your ideas, which I mean, let's be honest, intellectual property is very expensive, and you try and get that into the world of the market. And it's very tough, but as we are here at the University of Johannesburg, we support innovative ideas and like that. And that's why the Office of TTO does exist. And any alumni or current student looking for assistance, just contact the TTO office and you'll get the kind of information you need from there. I mean, let's also talk about our honorary doctorate list. One of our recent honorary doctorates is Dr. Teve Kalafing. He's the founder of Brand Africa, and he's a major innovator within the marketing and brand industry. And I mean, when I'm as a marketer myself, when I talk about marketing and innovation in the industry, he's always the first African voice I look at. And I mean, let's also talk about that here in terms of innovation and action and the bold ideas we have here. Perhaps let's start with you, Mr. Hilton. What is your thoughts, perhaps maybe from a financial aspect, in terms of the innovation that happens, or maybe we could start from what kind of innovation you have created as a young student or alumni, and perhaps something that you think could happen innovatively in the financial industry.
Thank you so much. It is really an honor to be part of this conversation as we celebrate UJ at 20. Like you have mentioned, UJ is not just a university, but it's a launchpad for leadership, innovation, and bold ideas. So I just want to go back a little bit. I was at UJ between the years 2012 and 2015. So for those 4 years that I was here, only 1 year was I only focused on academics. So the other 3 years, the first year I was part of Golden Key executive team. I started off as a treasurer, then I moved on to be the president of Golden Key. And in my final year, I was actually the deputy president of UJ SRC. Why am I mentioning this? This shaped me to be the person that I am today. This being part of Golden Key, we visited quite a lot of communities, and we came across quite a lot of people that come from disadvantaged background. So that gave us an understanding of what the challenges youth of today are facing. So we gave a hand as students, but we were limited because of the resources that we had. We depended more on what was being given to us. So also as an SRC member, we're dealing with quite a lot of students' problems, challenges that they were facing as students. So that gave me sort of like a background to start on, so that by the time I left university and I joined the corporate world, I sort of like had somewhere to start from. So I just wanted to mention those things so that students, if they are there, students that are actually listening to us, they might be asking their questions to say, where can I start from? um, Being a student, there are already a lot of opportunities that are available for you, which you can utilize to kickstart whatever that you want to focus on in life. So going to my after university, I happen to have started working at Standard Bank as a graduate program. But what I had learned from being in the community as a UJ, as part of Golden Key, my wife and I then came up with a foundation called Renega Foundation, which focuses on young girls. So we actually, being an SRC member as well as being part of Golden Key, we realized that girls are actually facing quite a lot of problems in the community, and they need someone to hold their hand and tell them that it's achievable. Nothing can stop you. Whatever that you believe can actually be achieved. So if they can have someone who have walked the road and who have understood those challenges, walk with them, they are more highly going to be encouraged to stand up and start on whatever that they want to start on. So that's why I had to start with my background, so that we understand it's not something I did not just mushroom, sorry for using this word, from Norway and become a person that I am. So some of the projects that we then focused on is in terms of agriculture. So yeah, but we'll go into that as the conversation goes. But there's a lot of information now. There's a lot of information available there, and I think with that information you can actually use it to start something. For example, there's a lot of side hustle someone can start that do not even need a lot of capital. But yeah, I think that's what I have to say at this point in time.
No, thank you very much for that youth and that innovative thought in terms of how you've now grown up to have that innovation within your own sphere. That's fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
think perhaps maybe we can move on to Ronald, if you don't mind. Innovation. As a wellness expert, how has that happened for you in terms of your own industry? How much innovation has happened, and tell us more about that. If you had anything here involved that you had UJ, or as a young alumni that you are.
Thank you so much, Victor. And yes, thank you to the alumni for this invitation. Yeah, I think just to maybe share something, I think, which is very applicable to the youth out there. If I have to think about my days back here on campus, I was the shyest student ever. I think there was not, if any of my fellow students or my lecturers would say, like, can she even speak? So I was so shy. And I think if today, like, I was coming here from another speaking event, and I actually get paid these days to speak in front of big audiences. And I think that is just to inspire the youth out there that absolutely everything is possible. And it's all about, if you have a bigger vision and a bigger dream for your life, that you can really go after that. But I think for me, going from like being trained as a chartered accountant, I've been in the corporate world for 10.5 years after completing my articles. And then I've ventured into entrepreneurship. Now, that was really, really hard. And I had to learn so many things. Even though I was financially strong, I knew quite a lot of things about business. And I think especially after COVID, I realized that there's such a big need for where so many people lost their jobs. And I think there's in South Africa such a big need to create jobs. And that is when I've started a course for people who aspire to become entrepreneurs or who want to start up a business, to really teach them from A to Z how to start up a business and how to grow a sustainable business. And I think in terms of South Africa and all the problems that we are facing, and that is something that we, especially the youth, but everybody should really look into, is entrepreneurship, see kind of like in how we can start businesses, how we can grow the economy, how we can create jobs, how can we really help people to create a better standard of living for everybody. So that, I believe, is, and with all of South Africa, all our needs, our challenges, people can really be innovative and get out there and really start their own thing, and I think grow the businesses and the small business sector within South Africa.
Thank you very much for that perspective, Ronald. But I like what you said. Entrepreneurship and growing a higher standard for us as a better society and finding a way to innovate. So I think we can always go straight to our our entrepreneur for the evening, Mr. Solomon Makama. Your perspective, sir, in terms of innovation, growing South Africa's current standard, and innovating within different industries.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. My name is Solomon, as you have already said, and I'm a proud tutor. I do not like much to use the founder of Solopili or director, but I love being a tutor. So I was at UJ between 2017 and 2021, I completed my BCom in econometrics and economics here. So one thing that I would like to mention is that consistency and commitment is the way to go. Most of the youth that we have in our days, they struggle most importantly with consistency. When you have a vision or when you have a dream or when you have a goal, you ought to apply consistency. It's always easy to start. That's why when someone has a schedule, you'll start the first day. Someone wants to go to the gym, you will go for the first day. Someone wants to start budgeting, you will put that first 50 cents in the pocket. But it is going forward that becomes a problem. And that's where consistency comes in. So one thing that allowed me, and not only me, because I'm a director with Mr. Katlego Chishonga. He was also a treasury of the SRC here at UJ. So we shared the vision of each one, teach one. When you know something, do not keep it to yourself, right? When you know something, look at the next person. Does he know what you know? If he doesn't know what you know, teach the next person. The next person will teach the other person. And like that, we all grow with knowledge. So we shared the vision and saying that, you know where we're coming from. Katlego is coming from Soweto. I'm coming from Davidton. And we said that if we could start something whereby we go back from the primary schools or we go back to the high schools where we were taught and we go there and we offer a helping hand, that could be something. One thing that I liked about Katlego, we might not agree on everything, but we always agree on one thing. Without education, there's no way forward. Without education, there is no way forward. So we took that, and because the concept of Solopilo had always been there. I was tutoring when I started here at UJ in 2017 because as part of the bursary that I was using, I was supposed to go back and do community service. So it was already there. But what carried on the concept and made it come to life is the fact that the gratification that you get from that light bulb moment of telling someone something that they didn't realize or something that they didn't know before, there is nothing that feels as good as that. So I understood from there that if I could help my fellow brothers, if I could help my fellow sisters in growing in education, and also most importantly, to show them that this is the way we go to. Katlego, one of the directors, he would use this name, he would use this phrase to say that why walk blind in the path that your brethren have seen, right? So he's more trying to say that why do you have to walk blind while I have been there before, right? I mean, he went through high school, he went through varsity. Those who are still at high school, they do not have to walk blind because the light or the person who has been there before is there to help them. So that's why we carried on the concept of Solopili. And still today, it's still going. The only focus is assisting learners. The only focus is seeing to it that these brothers and sisters of ours back from these dusty places, they understand the concept of education, not only education in terms of academics, but education in terms of life, education in terms of how you take care of your mental health, education in terms of how you conduct yourself as a human being away from the classroom. And that in all sums up the concept of Tswelopele.
Wow, that was one hell of a line. I must actually add to that. I need to repeat that because no, that was actually perfect. Why walk blind when you are walking the path that I have seen? That is very, very beautiful, very profound. Because you would think to yourself that you would have that person to actually help you. You would actually think to yourself, you're actually seeing the path that's in front of you, but you technically are blind because you haven't been on that path. But there are people that have been on the path, and there are people that should help you to walk that path well, and to also implement that innovation of which you have as a youth, coming from here from UJ. And I mean, as I said to you in my opening, we were busy talking about the TTO, the Technology Transformation Office. I guess that will be the big brother that will say to you, this is the path we have seen of which we are helping you to open your eyes to walk. And I think also one of the things that UJ is also implementing or being part of is societal impact, which is one of UJ's pillars for the next couple of years. And when we talk about UJ's societal impact, we're talking about impact of society through purposeful research and community engagement. And when we talk about communication engagement, we're also talking about the entrepreneurship that you touched on. We're also talking about sometimes the financial aspect, the wellness and well-being of everything in society. But when we also talk about what UJ is looking at, we're talking about his dedication to making a tangible, positive impact to society, hoping that we can increase the positive impact and making sure that UJ is one of the cornerstones of creating a positive societal impact with us. I mean, when we're looking at the university rankings, we are unashamedly so ranked number one in terms of societal impact. And we need to keep pushing that and maintaining that level. And I mean, when we're looking at that, we're not talking about just South Africa, but we're talking about economic, environmental challenges, particularly from African and global South perspective. That is where we need to look at our impact. And that brings to mind one of our alumni, Dr. Leila Fourie. She's currently the CEO of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Just unfortunate we couldn't get her here. I mean, it would have been lovely to get a perspective on this, but she's a prime example of one of our alumni, looking to drive innovation in financial and business sector. And that kind of innovation lies in the key hand of where the youth needs to also be in the financial and business sector, because those sectors and ultimately grow the jobs that we're looking to have and trying to hold the sustainability moving forward. However, Mr. Eric Cotter, you are advocate. We need to start looking at the law of things in terms of criminality and the labor of all of that. But in terms of innovation, um, how has it been part of a member of the Oxford Chambers helped, and how has the innovation in terms of the law area helped or grown within the youth of South Africa? And as you are a graduate of the University of Johannesburg, innovation, have you implemented anything, and how's that moving forward for you?
No, thank you so much, and thank you to my colleagues around the table. So I think mine is very simple, Victor. Obviously, I graduated from this beautiful university. I was at UJ since from 2015 until 2021, and then during my years at the university, I started studying BA Humanities. And then I switched to LLB. And then over the years, I was privileged to be part of leadership, like my brother there, Mr. Helton. Then in leadership, I realized that most students are getting expelled from the university for petty misconduct. And the reason why they're getting expelled, it was like they would go there and apologize, whereas they were supposed to be not guilty. They will not understand the procedural aspects. But now, since I had a big passion for law, I was like, you know what? I took it upon myself. I started consultants. I called it after my surname, Quarter Consultants, but it was not formal. Then I assembled like a brilliant team of investigators, fundraisers and whatnot. And then we had budget, we had everything to represent students at no cost. Now, why I'm mentioning this thing, I moved with this idea and passion to represent the downtrodden. The very same thing, I'm doing it now at my group. So now I'm responsible for pro bono desk at Chamber. So what we do, we approached again UJ, vets, and probono.org. So now if they have like matters where they require services of a council, they just reach our desk and then we assist. So in terms of like innovative ideas, I wouldn't say there's one in particular, but I think the one that I'm proud of is like instilling braveness in my fellow colleagues. So I always preach to them, like my brother said here, if you are not willing to fail, and then why start in the first place? So I think for me, that's like the one thing that I'm trying to foster in my colleagues. Thank you so much.
Ah, fantastic. So innovation, fostering innovation for it to look better in the future. I love that. I think I want to wrap this up with a quick this topic, sorry, or this theme, with a quick question for all of our panelists. But I would like to start with you right now. How did you navigate any challenges of innovation as a young person?
I think you need to step out there and be brave and try things. Not just I think there will always be those limiting beliefs. There will always be some stumbling blocks. But if you are not going to step out and at least try something, I mean, failure is part of all of our journeys, and it is just that that step up and step out and take that chance on yourself and believe in yourself, that I believe can really take you far and help you on your journey going forward.
Fantastic. Hilton, your perspective on the challenges of innovation?
Yeah, innovation as a young person is like swimming upstream. You have a great idea, and then you try to pitch it to someone, and then they tell you that you don't have enough experience. So like some get challenged. But one thing that I've learned from my experience is credibility does not come from age. Credibility comes from being consistent. So, like, if you have a vision, you need to start. It does not have to be perfect. Just like my brother advocate, yeah, he mentioned he started like at university with a small group of students helping others. They started. That was the key word. They started and they were consistent. And when you start, as you grow, that's when you start perfecting your things and you come up with the final product that you want to give to the people. So that's the best way that I can say to say innovation. It's not easy. We're not telling you something that will say that it will be an easy walk, but once you have a vision and you start and you become consistent, you achieve where you need to be. Thank you.
It seems like today is just a day of course, ladies and gentlemen. What was that? Innovation is like swimming upstream. I love that. I love that. I'm just gonna add more quotes to my book of quotes, guys. It's gonna help me moving into the future. But Advocate Eric, any challenges in terms of innovation as a young person for me?
Yeah, precisely. I think in my profession, obviously, it will always boil down to my profession. So it's like the biggest challenges that I'm facing with my fellow juniors is the challenges of like finances. So now most is like we go against like a big guns, say big companies and fairly dismissing employees. So now by the time I have to reserve at least 5 days for arbitration, and then now client cannot afford to pay our fees. Now it's something else now. So it's like for me, it's like finances. That's like the biggest issue that we are faced with as juniors. To say we have ideas, but now having to reserve our time to foster these ideas and innovate it, it's like it boils down to we go to bed hungry. But it's a sacrifice we are willing to take. Yeah.
I guess it's serendipity that we're in this room with a financial strategist. So maybe after tonight, if we can talk about the chankuras, you know. But Mr. Solomon, please, in your well, I guess you said you'd like to be called more tutor than entrepreneur. But I mean, the challenges in innovation. I mean, from creating Tulipilo Academy and perhaps during your tutelage, what was your challenges in the innovation?
As my brother has said, hey, finances they usually stand in the way because with Katleho, also he had completed his BSc in mathematics. So as we go and approach schools, right, in terms of offering our assistance, the problem that you now have is when now you need to start traveling around because there are a lot of schools, and now we cannot be biased in terms of which school we go to and which school we do not go to. And also another hurdle, if I were to say, it's different cultures, traditions, and also different personalities. You know, when you're in a classroom, you get to see that, in fact, you learn more as a teacher than you do as a learner. You know, when you are teaching learners and also realizing that they understand concepts differently based on where they are coming from, based on also what they believe in, and based on also who they are as human beings. You know, so trying to navigate through all the different cultures, through all the different traditions, and bring it to the same place and giving them a concept that you would like them to understand it in this way, that becomes a serious problem. But we move, sir.
Thank you very much. We move. But before we move on to the next theme, I think I would like to leave this one open to the table. Does anybody want to add more in terms of youth innovation, growth and development here at UJ? It's up to the table. But if the table can't answer, we allow you at home who are busy watching us have this conversation. Remember, there are the chats function within the online platform, and put in anything that you want to put there. Put in a comment, put in a question, maybe a few answers that you want to put in. Or if you want to have direct conversation with one of our panelists, please do so, and then we'll address those towards the question and answer session and towards the end of our discussion. But that brings us to our second theme of the evening, the next 20 years, what you need to thrive in South Africa. And I am very excited about this topic because I am very, 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 very future focused. As an alumni, as a marketer, as someone who I like to think I'd like to innovate within myself and within my industry, the next 20 years is always going to be something that I find exciting, something that I find that even though I am walking blind, I'm always going to be thinking to myself, is it is it just me, or is there going to be new exciting things that I can implement within my job? And if there is, what is it that I can do it at a low cost? Because I mean, everything is about money these days. And part and parcel of those are just a few things that we also need to think about when we look into the future. I mean, is what you are doing visionary? Have you seen a vision, and how much of that have you actually put into plans for you to make powerful forward movements? Have you had forward-looking discussions on education? I mean, like you said, Mr. Solomon, that education is the key thing in terms of unlocking a bright future. Those discussions are very key. And also part of education are the skills that you can implement in terms of bringing that into the future. And part of that, of course, is the fourth industrial revolution. Very soon, we'll be talking about the fifth industrial revolution, perhaps the sixth also that's going to be around the corner. So is that now implementing the correct technology when we're talking about these skills development, adding that education conversation and that visionary thoughts that you want to do and moving to the future? And all while we're having that discussion all wrapped up into one, we're forgetting about one key aspect. And that key aspect is always going to be mental health, because there's always going to be a human component when we have a conversation, when we're thinking about growth, when you think about the next 20 years. We are not the machines. We are the ones controlling the machines. So at the end of the day, how are we going to now keep ourselves grounded, keep ourselves mentally acute and active, if I can put it that way, for us to be able to grow as the visionaries that we are, that UJ has created, for us to grow well into the next 20 years. And let's not forget, we have been the youth before, and we are thinking about growing up, and we need to bring the youth of the tomorrow, and that also means being inclusive of the youth of tomorrow. And I just want to also add a little bit of aspect from the University of Johannesburg itself, because at the end of the day, the UJ, as we are, we know that we are an institution of higher learning who's looking at having a successful societal impact within our own community. But we also know that that cannot be done without a great wellness avenue or aspect. I mean, holistic well-being and mental health support is very key in the development of students and of alumni together. UJ recognizes that academic success is intrinsically linked to the overall well-being of the students. With over the past 20 years, UJ has invested in robust support systems, particularly in mental health. And I mean, one of those robust systems is the creation or the development of the Center for Psychological Services and Career Development, we call that PsyCAD, where they are looking at offering counseling, career guidance, as well as various wellness programs, which of course includes mental health, for us to thrive and to develop as students moving forward. And I mean, as that is looking at the development of us moving into the next 20 years, we should also think about how are we looking at the next 20 years as panelists. What does that mean to us? And have we actually thought about that now, seeing as how UJ has turned 20, and what is your next 20 years moving forward? I don't know if you'll be 50 or 60 by that time, or how old you will be, but besides your own age, how much are you going to impact yourself and everything? And I'd like to ask Solomon to start the conversation there.
Thank you, sir. With regards to mental health, sir, there are a lot of points that I would like to touch. Hopefully, I doubt we can bring mental health into question without putting social media into question. In this day and age that we live in, and actually, according to a study that was done by UJ, the Center of Psychology, last year, it was believed that over 63 Gauteng learners, they reported anxiety after the use of Instagram and TikTok, right? And also, not only that, but a study that was done by Reuters this year, it reported that in South Africa, South African teenagers, they are on social media 4 hours a day. 4 hours they are busy on social media. So now you get to a point whereby you realize that we not only have a problem in terms of people learning right things, but we also have a problem of people not understanding what is it that they need to learn. Because when you find that someone is hooked up on their phone for 4 hours a day, not educationally so, but also just grabbing content and grabbing whatever it is that is being shown on their screen, that becomes a problem. Not only does that become a problem for themselves as a human being, it also becomes a problem for themselves inside the classroom, because they start having attention fragmentations. Because when you were busy, let me put it like this. There is a reward system, right, in someone's brain. Usually people who studied the brain, they would call it dopamine, right? So what dopamine is, just a neurotransmitter that is associated with motivation, anticipation, reward seeking, and happiness. So these people, right, who create these social media platform, right, they have found a way. And the reason why I say they have found a way, it's because they hire experts, right, experts who will find a way how they can best exploit a human being's brain, right? You don't just get hooked up to watching social media for 4 days if nothing happened. I mean, I was not born watching TikTok for 5 hours, right? I was fine. I didn't even know what TikTok was. I didn't even care if there was TikTok out there. But then you start growing. It starts with that mobile phone that they buy you, and then you get introduced to TikTok. And then it gets to a point whereby 7 hours or 4 hours a day, you are hooked on the screen, just watching people laughing. Just imagine watching someone laughing for 4 hours, and you're also laughing with them. And that doesn't bother us. So in terms of mental health, we have to look at this problem that we have with regards to social media, and we need our learners to start understanding how their brain works. And that's where psychology, I believe, comes to place. And that's where I also believe that our schools would best help in terms of introducing not only psychology, but also a module or a subject that would teach about digital boundaries, because we indeed need digital boundaries. We have a problem if our learners are smoking cigarettes or they are taking drugs, but we do not have a problem when our learners sit 7 hours intoxicating their brain with social media. And at the end of the day, what happens is that you have learners who are reporting dysmorphia, right? Girls who are using Instagram, they end up looking at themselves and thinking that, oh, well, I'm not beautiful. Or you know what, I don't think that I deserve to be like that, right? Their self-esteem end up going down, right? And also we have a problem of viral violence, right? People are getting desensitized to trauma. A young boy, they'll be looking at someone stabbing someone over the phone, and they think it's all right because it's happening over the phone. But that's not how actually the brain interprets it. The brain interprets it as that someone is stabbing someone. And by the time you grow up, your brain no longer knows how to distinguish between something that is happening over the phone and something that is happening in real life. And now you have people who are no longer, they cannot understand sympathy, because when something happens over the phone, they think it's fine. So we have a problem of social media with our youth, and also the problem that we have with regards to social media is the fact that it is now accessible. One thing very quickly, so that I do not finish time. We have countries like Russia, right? And we have countries like Sri Lanka, we have countries like Saudi Arabia. They really monitor in terms of social media access in their countries. They really monitor in terms of alcohol and drugs in their countries, right? What they do is that, for instance, countries like Sri Lanka, countries like Iran, there is no advert on TV that is talking about alcohol. Why is that? It's because they understand that when you are going to be enticing people to start drinking alcohol and showing them that when you drink alcohol, you look cool, they will want to drink alcohol. So they filter such things in such countries. Why do we not take a step in terms of trying to filter social media? Because what happens is that as much as we say that the future is digital, of which it is digital, is it the digital that is helping us or the digital that is destroying us? Thank you, sir.
The future is digital. Is it the digital that is helping us, or is it the digital that is destroying us? I do understand you also mentioned TikTok, the 4 hours a day usage. I don't know if you saw my screen time or something like that. Who told you about my screen time? I don't know who told you about my screen time, because we need to investigate this thing. Look, I'll be honest, I'm also one of those people who tripped and fall into a trap for TikTok, but it is what it is. You could use it for the good, greater good, you can use it for the greater bad. TikTok can also be used as a platform of learning. I've learned a lot of things in terms of what you can do around the house, in terms of DIY projects, and that is why my screen time is so much. I do a lot of DIY, so that much I can say is my backup or my excuse for being on TikTok for so much. But Advocate Eric, let's put it to you now. The next 20 years, what is youth needed to survive in South Africa?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this one is very important. So since from democracy until now, there hasn't been much of a progress. And the reason why there hasn't been much of a progress is purely because most of us want to fit in into a system which was not designed for us. So I think maybe moving forward from here until, let's say, next 20 years, 30 years, if like the youth can start thinking outside the box, which systems, educational, business-wise, law, accounting, finance, how can they best possibly start their own system which will serve them? Because now what we constantly do, we recycle the ideas that did not help us anyhow. So I think maybe moving forward, it's actually us, man. It's not like this, because most of us we are the youth. We need to think outside the box and like how can we best possibly gather funds, not going to the establishment, because establishment will never give us money, but how can we start small businesses that will help with healthy cash flow to start like full-blown moving vehicles. And also it's like as young people, and it's very sensitive issue, but as young people, we need to also to stop this thing. Any little discomfort now, I have mental health. It's normal. It's normal. If you don't start, you will fail. Now you say I have mental health issues. No, it's hard. So for me, I say it's like as some people, we need to work extremely hard to avoid unnecessary stress. Yeah. So for me, moving forward, that's my advice to the youth.
Eric, as you said, it can't be every inconveniencing step that you feel that must be mental health aspect. But we do have a mental health expert here. Let us talk about that in terms of the future. Let's address what he said first in terms of the youth always saying, no, I feel so pain. I don't know what's going on. I got mental health issues. And then let's get into what do you think about the next 20 years of future for youth of South Africa to thrive?
Yeah, I definitely think sometimes we need to be careful that something is just not a buzzword, and now you kind of link every single thing to mental health. I think we have a wellness company the last 10 years where we focus on physical, emotional, and financial wellness, and we've seen, especially since COVID, the biggest demands within companies or mental health, brain health issues, or personal finances, or burnout, and stress management. So I think those are the real issues out there. I also think you really need to understand what are the triggers and how do you manage it. And like you've rightfully said, that it is real mental health, that it is real burnout, and in how you can manage that. So I would say for the next 20 years, I think we are so bombarded by social media, by AI, by tech, and that we often forget that, first of all, we are human beings. And often we do not really take proper care of ourselves and our needs. Since I've completed my chartered accountant qualifications, I've studied brain health. I'm currently busy with my master's degree in happiness studies at a university in the US. And I think even with with happiness, where we've seen that in this year's World Happiness Report, people were asked to basically rate all the activities, how happy or unhappy they are in those activities. And in the workplace or working came out as the activity where people, the second activity where people are the most unhappiest. And I think that has a huge impact in terms of performance, in terms of leadership. I mean, if you go to the workplace and you are not happy, you are not going to be productive. And that impacts again your physical health. It impacts your emotional health as well as your financial health, because it is going to have an impact. The same with that institution that you are working for. So I would really, I think in the next 20 years, where we are moving into all of these digital spaces, I really want to encourage people to take better care of themselves, to avoid burnout. I think that is a real big issue. To start thinking about how we can manage stress, because I think we all think we are professionals, we are leaders. We can handle all of this, but we were not taught at school or at university how to manage stress, how to prevent burnout. So I definitely want to encourage people to start getting into those things, and then also to start with self-awareness and getting to know yourself and what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy, and focus on the things that makes you happy. So I think not only in South Africa, but worldwide, we actually need almost a brain health and a happiness revolution.
Having a happiness revolution, I like that. I mean, imagine if we're all really happy and we're striving for the goodness of ourselves. I think we'll have a much better life, and I mean, much better future with thinking moving forward. But let's talk about like what Eric was speaking about earlier, that the powers that be or the institution is not really assisting the youth. But from our side, we know that the board of the current National Youth Development Agency, NYDA, Asanda Luaka, Lebogang Masingo, Avelam Jajubana, are all alumni of the University of Johannesburg, and they sit on the board of the NYDA. And we do know the NYDA is very passionate about empowering youth, exemplifying youth inclusion at a policy level, and also the collective vision for youth development aligns with UJ's values for equal access to quality education and economic opportunity. So those are still important opportunities that allow the youth to become, I guess, valuable individuals moving forward within the next 20-year conversation. And with that, I mean, of course, economic and development opportunities. So as we come to you, Hilton, when we're talking about the next 20 years, what are you looking at the finances, and how is it that is needed from the youth to strive in South Africa?
Thank you for that. Speaking of the NYDA, it did assist me when I started my first project. So I started with it was testing for us, because obviously you start like what I've mentioned at the beginning. So bought 2 pigs, male and female. It was a test, and we had just 1 room. Then after 6 months, we ended up having 13 pigs. 18 for 15, including the mother and the child. That's when we realized that this became too big now for our space that we had, because we're not expecting as much as we were researching. When you do it, it's actually different. It's actually a different thing. So I'm going into some of my side hustle, which is piggery. So like it was at home. I stay on a plot. So we just started with my wife, and we're testing with 2 pigs. Now we ended up with 18. So we approached the NYDA because by that time I was under youth. Now I'm going towards out of the youth. Beyond 35. So we approached the NYDA. Then they assisted us with it was 10,000 rand. It was something that started that helped us to start. So I'm just saying that there are organizations that are available that can help the youth to start. Now it's a growing project. The pigs are multiplying, and as they multiply, we're using the offspring also to obviously there's feed that you need to buy, you need to sell the offspring to some other person who also wants to start. So it's one of the things that I would like to encourage our youth today. In that, institutions, I think they also need to understand the shift that needs to happen. I understand that the shift in the past few years, they've been towards academics. People must pass. We want people to have degrees. There is lack of skills. People have degrees now. But I think people are not ready now in terms of mentally, emotionally, digitally, and economically, which brings in what Mr. Makamo was saying, that our people end up being stressed because of the digital, because they're now using it for the wrong reasons. Yet they're supposed to use it probably for e-commerce and other things. So what I was thinking is maybe the university can introduce structured mentorship programs. I want to talk about my child. So I have a son who is 11 years old. When he was 6 years old, he liked to watch, I think, Paw Patrol. It's a cartoon. So when I asked him, as he was 6 years, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said he wanted to be a firefighter because that's what he was exposed to. Now he's 11 years old. He's exposed to games. There's gaming that happens on YouTube where you watch another person play a game. But I asked him, what do you want to be? Then he said, I want to be a gamer. So it brought me back to me when I was young. My mom was a nurse. So when I asked, when you could ask me that time, what did I want to be? I wanted to be a nurse or a policeman. So what you see is what inspires you to be whoever that you want to be. So if the university can use us, the people that the alumni, to mentor the current students, probably we can shift their thinking. So what I'm doing now, I took my son yesterday to my workplace so that he can see that there's other things, unlike Paw Patrol and firefighter. Not that I don't want him to do that. He can be whatever he wants to be, but I want him to expose him to other things. So we can also expose our current youth to those things by using the structured mentorship programs that the UJ can have. I'm sure there's quite a lot of alumni that would want to sign up for that as volunteers, and that can, I believe, that can shift the focus of our students, because they will know that this person has failed. This person had 2 pigs. I did not tell you out of all the problems that I faced. After 13 pigs, they eat those things. So they started eating, and my budget for grocery increased because I did not plan properly. But another person don't have to walk blindly, like what you say. I will tell them that once you buy 2 pigs, make sure that in the next 6 months you can feed 13 pigs. Yes, they started breaking the windows, breaking the place where they were staying. So those are learnings that I can then impart to another person who wants to walk in the same shoes that I want to, that I've walked. So to all the young person that are listening today, you don't have to wait. Don't wait to be chosen. I just want to add this in terms of starting. So you already are, and I'm sure you have ideas that you want to do. So start the same way that I started with my little 2 pigs, and make your own mistakes. And if there's someone who can mentor you, they will come and mentor you and bring you to shape. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Panelists, this has been so exciting. I've learned so much from the 4 of you. And I mean, there are also people out there watching us, and I just want to also talk to them who have given us a litany of statements and questions within our inbox. But I want to actually start with the statement here from Marius Fenter. Marius Fenter. Good evening, sir. How are you doing? He says we need to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Innovation and growth is being uncomfortable with your current status quo and striving to reach new heights. I think, as I want to say, this evening is a evening of quotes. So quotes on quotes on quotes. Thank you very much, Mr. Marius. This one's also going into our book, so that when I actually write book, I'm gonna also quote you that you gave me this quote. So thank you very much, sir. But we also have a gentleman. His name is Zane. Sorry, there's no surname for Zane. However, he does ask, how do we encourage more youth to take leadership roles in politics, policy, and civil society? I don't know. Does anybody want to answer the question? Perhaps, Mr. Solomon, that can be directed to you, or is there someone who wants to answer that? Mr. Solomon?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. In terms of politics and leadership roles, that's where those are the spaces that the youth needs to infiltrate, right? because as you were saying, looking forward into the next coming 20 years, things are changing, right? Things are changing. And who is best to monitor, or who is best to lead than these people who are here now and who will be there in the future, right? So one thing with regards to encouragement, or how we can encourage our youth to take these leadership positions, is to make them aware what comes with being a leader, and is to make them aware what impact they can have if they become leaders in our country. So that's one thing that they need to know. If you become a leader, you will have influence. And if you become a leader, you will have an impact onto people who are before you and the people that you are leading. So because the future is far from now, as people start leading, or as people coming into leadership positions, they are going to help reshape the future as they want to see it in the future.
Help reshape the future as I want to see it in the future. Thank you very much, Mr. Solomon.
Another quote.
Another quote.
Another quote.
Evening of quotes. So I hope Zane, he did help you with that. But if you need further conversation, remember we do have digital platforms where you can still engage us. All those details are to follow. We have anonymous here, which I think perhaps Eric you can answer, and probably Renal also you can add into that. Anonymous here says, what guidance would you offer to your recent university graduate as they transition into the workforce? So Eric, from your side first, please.
Yeah, Anonymous. I think the guidance I can give to a recent graduate is like knock on many doors as possible. And obviously become comfortable with like being rejected. You know what I normally do around April until May? I will send 10 emails to 10 different law firms or attorneys every day. I think I've sent close to 160 emails. Then only 2 attorneys are briefing me now. And those attorneys are keeping me extremely busy. I hardly ever sleep. So my advice is like knock on many doors as possible, even if you don't qualify, or even if they are not looking, send your CV, go there, knock, tell them your capabilities, offer them at least 2 days of volunteering, but be wary of not being exploited. Because now there are people who will take advantage. But my advice to a new graduate, it will be like a knock on many doors as possible, and constantly improve yourself. Like read more, do something productive. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Eric. And Ronald, your side?
I would definitely say, I think when we finish varsity, we have a lot of technical skills and knowledge. And then as we enter the workplace, we start gaining experience. And I think for a lot of people, it often stops there. But if you are moving into the workplace, you must remember you are now one of many chartered accountants. You are one of many actuaries or advocates or whatever industry you are in. And there's almost that third component, that what I refer to as the magical you. How are you going to develop and grow your personal skills, your emotional intelligence, your leadership skills, because those are the things that's going to differentiate you in the workplace. And I think also, especially with leadership, it's not always a natural thing. It is a skill that you need to develop, that you need to go on to courses. So I think become a lifelong learner and really grow and develop yourself as much as you can into the future.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. As you mentioned skills, I have this last question to the entire table. Everybody gets exactly less than 1 minute because we are really running out of time. But I thought this was the most valuable question we have had from our viewers at home. And that question is, what are the most valuable skills you should develop now to remain relevant in 2045? So I think I'll start with you, Hilton, in terms of what are the relevant skills you should develop to remain relevant in 2045?
So some of the most critical skills that you need is being emotional intelligence, being able to deal with people. So those are some of the understated values that understated skills that people do not probably focus on mostly. And being agile, and also like just being able to adapt with the changes that are currently happening. So quite a lot of changes are happening, AI coming into play. There's a lot of things that I've seen AI doing that have shocked me. For example, like I work in a I work in the banking sector, and sometimes we have to type scripts, write scripts that you use on SQL. And then I realized that ChatGPT, you can just tell it the script that you want to write, and then it can produce it for you. So like there's a lot of changes that are happening, and this ChatGPT just came like 2-3 years ago. So being able to adapt with the changes that are happening, but also to still, as part of this minute, since this will be the last probably that we'll say, also you need to measure yourself. So what I do, like I do it every Friday. You can choose any day of the week. Every Friday, like I ask myself, what did I achieve this week? So what did I learn this week? What did I contribute, and who did I uplift? So measure yourself so that you can continue growing. So as you do that, you realize that maybe on Friday that you are lacking from a learning perspective, or you are lacking from helping others perspective, and then you can grow yourself from that. So those are sort of like goals that can help you to grow as a person.
Thank you very much, Hilton. Ronald, yourself, skills into the future, 2045 for the youth?
It's maybe not really a skill, but I would say happiness and kindness. I think if people can start focusing more on really being happy within themselves, it portrays onto others. And the same with kindness. If you can start being, I think, more kind towards yourself and towards others, we can definitely make a bigger impact and a change in the world that we live in.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Mr. Solomon, your last talk about that.
Yes, sir. I would like to say that be humble. Always keep humble, and always take yourself as someone who doesn't know. Always be willing to learn new things. Apply yourself. One of the prior writers, Adam Smith, we know him as the father of economics, when he wrote in 1759, if I'm not mistaken, his book about the theory of moral sentiments, he's talking about, most importantly, sympathy towards one and the other. That is, it might not be a skill, but it is a trait that if you carry forward with it, you will be fine in life. Be sympathetic towards others, be kind towards others, and be humble always. Thank you, Sid.
Thank you very much. Eric, your point of view on this question.
Yeah, mine is very simple. I think in 2045, if we are all able to communicate clearly, I think if you can communicate, you have everything. If you can convince, we have everything. And also, it's like maybe I differ a little bit with my brother here. Sometimes don't be humble. If you are too humble, I will deal with you. So it's like try to be ruthless. Yeah, try to be ruthless. If you're humble. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Don't be humble, others will deal with you. Try and be ruthless. Yeah, no, code number one was it? 10, 12. I don't know, it's county, but I think from my side, my favorite one, I think we have all thought and spoken about, but haven't really touched on, is the absolute skill of reading. Reading is what has grown and developed since the 1800s, 1500s until now, and it's still going to be key to our growth and development to the future. So learn and hone that skill of reading. So before we close off this evening, I would like to give it to our senior manager here in the alumni office, to Ms. Paladi Mahongwa, to give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Victor. And I think we can all agree that tonight was a very heated evening. We had, I think our colleagues also online can agree that we are truly going to be walking in a path that our brethren has seen. So we're not walking blind from today going forward. But that being said, as we conclude this inspiring evening, youth at the heart of UJ at 20. I think we can all agree that in some way, this institution has contributed in one way or another to us to be where we are today. And I'm grateful that Mr. Chinyama has put up his hand to join our already existing mentorship program Kopano will get in touch with you. And anyone out there who's willing to join Mr. Hilton, we do have a mentorship program, and we would really greatly appreciate you to come on board, to come and teach our students that, or our alumni, the ones that want to do piggery, that you don't only buy 2 pigs and leave it at that. They must know that they need to budget for food, they need to budget for new windows and doors, maybe, and all that. And I think I'm like your son. When I grew up, the only thing we knew was teaching and nursing, and then police also. Those were the only 3 careers that were available to us as youth. And then later on, everybody was becoming a lawyer, even the fake ones that used to walk around with briefcases, but they were not necessarily qualified lawyers, but they made money. So we thought that lawyers, we wanted to be lawyers, but mainly not to make sure that our community can access justice, but to make money so that we can build big houses and drive flashy cars. So I am happy that you have been part of this meaningful celebration and conversation with us. And your presence here, I think, will strengthen our UJ community even more. And it's a shared commitment to build a brighter future for our university. You are always going to be the Orange Army, or members of this Orange Army of the great University of Johannesburg. So tonight we honored our past, our present, and we looked at our future, where most importantly, our voices will be used to shape our next chapters. So let us continue supporting our students. Let us continue supporting the alumni office. This is your link with the current students, with the former students, which are our alumni members, as well as the academics and management. So I'm looking forward that you will be championing this youthful conversation further on our UJ Connect. Lastly, I just want to say thank you also to Victor as our MC and program director, and Angela. I think you all communicated with Angela. She's the one that is producing on the other side. And Kopano, you can get in touch with Kopano if you're not receiving any emails from us. Any alumni member or anyone that has graduated from the University of Johannesburg should be receiving an email or some form of communication from us. If you are not, please get in touch with Kopano. So I just want to say thank you to the alumni office team. Thank you to Daryl. He's the reason why people can see us and can hear us, as well as Tabang at the back there. They made sure that everything is working here today. And to our great panelists, thank you for making time to be with us tonight, and a good evening and safe travels back to your respective homes. Thank you, Victor.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the heartfelt vote of thanks, Baladi. Wow, we've delved deep into the critical areas of innovation, exploring how UJ and its incredible alumni are pushing boundaries. And we've shifted our focus to the vital question of what youth need to thrive in South Africa into the future. All of these conversations are not just theoretical, but they are at the very core of what the University of Johannesburg stands for, especially as we proudly celebrate the 20th anniversary this year. UJ's journey over the next 20 decades has been about impact, innovation, inclusivity, and integrity. And tonight's discussion has beautifully showcased these values and are lived by our exceptional alumni and the university community. As we leave here tonight, let's carry forward the energy and ideas generated here. Let's continue and champion this innovation and support our youth and work together to build a more inclusive and prosperous South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Victor Kangale, and that has been the Alumni Office production on this fantastic virtual engagement. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And
The University of Johannesburg, our future reimagined.